Good morning and welcome to the 15 minutes Chassidus share. 15 minutes in quantity. We hope it will be a qualitative difference for your whole day. We're learning the Maamarim, Rosh Hashono, Special Shabbos, that the Rebbe said, Rosh Hashono Tovshin Mem Gimel. We're towards the end of Ois Aleph and at the top of page Nun Beis. The Rebbe asked at the beginning of the Maamar, Rosh Hashanah Shechalis b'Shabbos, we don't blow the shofar. How could this mitzvah be taken away from many tzaddikim? It's a mitzvah same in the Torah, and on the chashash that someone will carry the shofar dalet amos b'shus Rabim to learn how to blow it. Also, we find that they actually blew the shofar in the base of Mikdash, so it's not cancelled completely. And third of all, we find that we say the psukim of shofar on Shabbos Shechalis b'Shabbos, so there is an Indian of shofar on Shabbos. To explain this, we explain that first of all, that all the mitzvahs we do are very unique to anything else that's done in Olam Hazeh. The mitzvahs are a connection to the godly spheres l'mayla. The mitzvahs, our mitzvahs that were told to us in the Torah, have a counterpart in Ruchnis. So the mitzvahs are called Ramach Evrim de Malcha, the 248 limbs of Hashem, of the supernal king. Meaning to say that they are madregas of these mitzvahs, Lamaila, in different ways. And each mitzvah has its certain spiritual address, which is linked to and connected to the mitzvahs that we do here. So as the mitzvahs that we do here in this world accomplish the spiritual dynamics in the world above. It's not like, for example, a person who goes to work and they get paid. The money they get paid has really nothing to do with the job. They could be a computer programmer, or they could be a craftsman and build a table, and they get money. Money's nothing to do with the table. Nothing to do with the computer programming. Nothing's got to do not to do with it. Be a surgeon. It's something independent. That he's compensated for his time that he puts in and the expertise. Not so with the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs we do are anchored into and attached to and accomplished in spiritual terms. The same thing that happens in our world here that as we do the mitzvahs. So you spoke before tefillin, for example. Tefillin goes on the hand against the heart and the head against the brain, and the purpose is for the mind to rule the heart. In other words, hamshachos hameichin into midas. When we put on tefillin, that's what happens l'mayla. It's dynamics on a higher level in a different world, a different dimension, and that's the fantastic impact of what we do. And so too Tekiyah Shofar. Tekiyah Shofar, when we blow shofar, it elicits above the inyan of what shofar is all about. There's obviously l'mayla, there's no physical things. And the shama is l'mayla without a body. So there's nothing physical l'mayla. We're talking in the theme of the neshama effect that we have. There's an effect of every mitzvah in our bodies. A pnimis dika inyan, a kavona pnimis in the mitzvah, besides the actual physical doing. There's an inner energy of that mitzvah in the life of a person. In Kol Shkein, l'mayla, you have these inyanim take place, the mitzvahs take place in spiritual terms, in the spheres of the names of Hashem. And that's what they call limbs. They're called limbs because they bring with them a certain type of chayas that is affected by what we do in our mitzvahs here below. And so we saw, for example, with tefillin in the Six-Day War. The Rebbe came out with the mitzvah tefillin beforehand, explaining and emphasizing the Gemara that says when the Yid puts on tefillin, it affects fear amongst the nations of the world. The tefillin campaign started, and miraculous victory was accomplished for the Yidden in that war. There you see a very open connection, relatively speaking. But every mitzvah, we don't see it. But this is what the Torah is telling us. This is what the Pnimius of Torah is telling us. This is the message that we have from the Pnimis of Torah, from the Neshama of the Torah, that everything we do, especially the mitzvahs that we do, have an effect l'mayla. In fact, it all depends on what we do, because the whole creation is for Torah and mitzvahs that you're doing a mitzvah. So especially the mitzvah shofar. Now, mitzvah shofar is unique because it's done on Rosh Hashanah and accomplishes a tremendous amount. And because it's the beginning of the new year, it needs to be done in a new way, in the notion of Chiddush. And this is hinted to in the Pasuk, and as the Baal Shem Tov explains it, where in the third line down on the top of Daf Nun Beis. Now this we can explain. This that the Tehillim says, Tiku b'chodesh shofar, which is also connected to Rosh Hashanah, that you should blow in the month the shofar. Tiku b'chodesh shofar. Shidu adiga Baal Shem Tov b'zeh. The Baal Shem Tov asks on this and says, L'chayra havalei l'meima tiku shofar b'chodesh. If the purpose of the pasuk is to tell us to blow shofar, it should say tiku b'shofar when b'chodesh, in the month, meaning in Tishrei. And here it says tiku b'chodesh. You should blow b'chodesh. What mavar b'zeh the mashakos of tiku b'chodesh b'smechus l'tiku, that the word chodesh comes closer to the word tiku, not to shofar. Blow in a way of chodesh, the shofar. Why? Ki b'chodesh kayal tiku, because the word chodesh goes on the word tiku. Chodesh meaning chidush. Also, the b'chol shana tzorich li is hatikiyas ba'ofen chodosh, that the blowing every year has to be in a way of chodosh, has to be something new. In other words, the way we blow shofar has to have an impact on how we approach the mitzvah of shofar. What is the toichun pnimi of shofar? And we should approach it each year on Rosh Hashanah with a new excitement, with a new enthusiasm, with a new aspect to our doing it. That elicits l'mayla the same thing. Because every year there's renewed the level of shofar above. We'll come to later in the Maamarim. Since everything above depends on the avodah of the Yidden, and l'mayla, there's got to be a new inyan of shofar, the spiritual dimension of what shofar is l'mayla. It's got to be something new on Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, the avodah of the Yid, when he does shofar, has got to be in a new way with the new chayes. So they have tiku b'chodesh, b'chidush, b'chodosh, blow shofar in a new way. The tiku got to be new, because everything above depends on us. Katayers Rabbi Magid, the Pirush Mishnah, da mashal ma'ila mimach. The Pirkei Avos says you got to know what's above you, and to realize that Hashem is above you. The simple meaning is got to realize Hashem is above you. Hashem is an ayin ra, eizin shemas. Hashem sees and hears everything. Hashem is above you. It's not just an empty jungle world where we're not connected to anything above. Hashem is watching and with us all the time. He teaches in much deeper and much more pnimistic a teach, the neshama teach. Da mashal ma'ila mimach. It's not da shel ma'ila, no da shel ma'ila mimach, no what's above you. Rather da shel ma'ila mimach. No, everything above, all the spiritual worlds, as we discussed briefly the last shir. All the spiritual worlds that from Metzilus, Bri, Yitzir, Nasir, they're made up of Oiris and Kalim and Malachim, myriads of worlds, and only four in general, but myriads of worlds and Malachim, and there are other inyanim of that there are Lamaila as well, the revelation of Oirein Soviv Hashem, all the inyanim Lamaila, everything above. Non-tangible, spiritual, godly energies, everything above. The kol mashal amayla hakilhu mimcha. Everything depends on you. All the revelations above, after Hashem has created them and put the system in place and gave us the Torah, now everything above depends on what we do as Yidden. It's a tremendously empowering inyan. not just an empowering thought. It's an empowering thought. And if we let it penetrate and believe it and think about it and realize that the truth, it brings out the greatest self-worth that a person could possibly imagine. That Hashem has empowered the Yid through his mitzvahs, changes everything above. Therefore, since there needs to be Lamaila from Hashem's aspect, a new union of shofar, so below, when the Yid does his avodah of shofar, it's got to be brand new. Tiku b'chodesh, tiku b'chidesh, tiku b'chodesh. Make it a new experience. Lochein. Therefore, the blowing of the shofar of the Yid is got to be b'yofen chodesh in brand new way. In order it should be accomplished l'mayla, something brand new. Now, this concept of doing mitzvahs with a chayas is not unique to shofar. We're going to explore this a bit more in Oispace, and hopefully we'll start Oispace in today's shir. There's the Gemara's kol ha'isik mitzvah below kivana kiguf below neshama. If you do a mitzvah without enthusiasm, without chayas, it's like a body without a soul. Now, it's important to do the mitzvah, even without the chayas. The person says, I don't really understand the point of tefillin, of Shabbos, of kosher, of mitzvahs. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I'll do it. He did the mitzvah. If he understood why, and did it with the love for Hashem, or with the years Hashem, with Kabbalus or Malchus Shemaim, with the lichtigkeit, the mitzvahs then brought alive. And so we shouldn't be doing mitzvahs just because we're used to it, we are brought up, or we learned something new, and now it becomes routine, a routine mitzvah. Every day, as we wake up and we realize that we're alive again for a new day, that Hashem has restored our neshama back with us again, with the tremendous emunah that we have in Hashem and that He has in us. So this then, on reflection, should inspire us and spur us into the mitzvahs we do. Is as if today it's a new mitzvah. We're alive again in a new way. So each mitzvah today should be something new, and that's with all mitzvahs. When it comes to the Kiyush Shofar, since it's got to do with Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year. We call it Rosh Hashanah, and it's interesting. We don't call it Tchilas Hashanah. It's called Rosh Hashanah. Why wouldn't we call it the beginning of the year? It is the new year, because Rosh Hashanah is the head. How's it the head? The same way as the head of a person includes all of the different parts of the body, it's a control center. Everything flows out of the head, through the brain and the nervous system, etc., and everything that goes on in the brain. Everything is controlled from the brain. If it's if there's a chas v'shalom, something, a minor defect somewhere in the brain, in the head of the person, way down in the body, it won't function properly. The head is everything is contained in a different type of. You don't have a foot in the head. You've got the nervous system and the part of the brain which generates the ability to walk. And same with every other part of the body. So it's the control system. So too you have in time, and time is Rosh Hashanah. The Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year. It contains within it all the days of the year, and then it's spread out into the Rosh Chodesh of every month. You've got a capsule that has all the days of the year in Rosh Hashanah. Then you've got the 12 capsules of each Rosh Chodesh of the month. So it can encompass within it the whole year. That's why the mitzvahs of Tishrei are called holistic mitzvahs. In particular, we're focusing here on Tkiyah Shofar. So the mitzvah of Tkiyah Shofar has got to be done in a new way, because we're starting off with a whole new chayas. And have we blow shofar, do the avodah of shofar, that affects all the mitzvahs that we do the whole year, affects Lamaila and Lamata too. So in Mitzvah Hashem next year, we'll continue inside Oispace. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.